I am delighted to introduce you to our newest, the 2021 class of distinguished alumni. So the second person that I get to introduce you to today is Patrick Murray. And again, I point you to the bio in your program. Patrick has spent a lot of time with Intel Corporation in many, many different roles at Intel. And I met Patrick because he had seen an In-Gear magazine, the beautiful magazine that Rob Lassen and his staff put together. And he said, well, I want to engage with the department. I want to participate. I have some time, how could you use me? And over time, Patrick has done all of these wonderful things with the department. He's had short-term projects that he's conducted with other alumni. He's participated with senior design. He's participated in other ways in classrooms and worked on career development for our students. There are so many ways that Patrick is influencing lives day to day of the ISE students who are part of the department and in our new building. So I am delighted to introduce you to Mr. Patrick Murray. I don't know where he is. But there he is. Thank you so much, Mr. Patrick Murray.
When I was told that I was going to receive this award, I got an instruction. Talk for a couple of minutes about an experience at NC State that shaped your career, that you took advantage of your career. And there were two, and I can't decide which one to talk about. One is about the value of time. The second is the value of not being the smartest person in the room. And I can't decide which one to talk about because I don't want to talk for more than 5 minutes. It's a little audience participation. You want to hear about the value of time or the value of being the idiot in the room? Okay, I'm glad I was more prepared on that one. It's easier to talk. So, back in '84, when I was a sophomore, I took IE 100. It was the intro to industrial engineering. And one of the professors came in to talk about what he was doing. And it was Professor Mike Jost, who gave a demonstration of voice recognition. Now, for those younger than 25, it was a magic trick, right? Voice recognition. It was something you saw in the movies. And he demoed it, and it worked. And I was awestruck, because this wasn't a movie. He was literally talking into a microphone and a headset, and the computer was printing out or displaying what he said. And I was completely blown away. My idea of working on robots, gone. I rushed up to Dr. Jost. This is so cool. How do I get involved? And he wasn't sure, because I was an undergraduate. He had graduate students up there. He said, but come hang out in the lab. I'll introduce you to some people, maybe you can figure some things out. Now, I'd gone through high school, college at that point, and you're all kind of with a level of peer group. All of a sudden, he's introducing me to some graduate students. In fact, I'm glad Brian Monahan is here today. He was one of them. And Jeremy and Keith Baldwin, Paul Guidry, they were all doing things, Terry Moody and voice recognition. And I immediately felt that awe of, oh my God, I am surrounded by some really, really smart grad students who figure this thing out. What I also realized is that by knowing I wasn't 10% as smart as they were, I was really good at asking questions and asking for help to understand it and learn it. And because I came in with wow, can you help me understand this? I'm so curious about it. They were very generous with their time and advice, even the professors, because I didn't go in there thinking, oh, I can figure this out, right? I'm an engineer, I can figure this out. I went in there going, I don't know nearly as much as these other people. If I ask, right, maybe they'll explain it to me. And I found out through my career, even when I was the youngest application engineer Intel ever had, I got sent down to the IBM PC group in Boca. I was surrounded by some really, really smart Intel people, and I kept that purity of, I'm surrounded by really smart people, and that allowed me to ask questions. It allowed me to have a position of understanding instead of listening to reply or listening to argue. I listened to understand, and that served me pretty well in my career. Especially when, about 4 years later, when I realized, oh, I'm Intel's FAE calling on the IBM PC group, I must be some pretty good stuff. I began to get a big head on my shoulders. Unfortunately, I had a few people that knocked my head and said, stop. What made you successful is that you didn't have a big head about yourself. And so that really carried with me for the rest of my even when I was having the opportunity to sit in rooms with a lot of Intel's executive staff, I carried in that perspective. I'm not as smart as Dr. Moore or Dr. Grove, and I felt it was easy to ask them questions. Even in lower level management meetings, with a bunch of VPs, like, oh, a lot of experience. I go, what does this mean? And I've actually had people come out and say, boy, I'm glad you asked that, because I had no idea. I was just nodding along because I didn't want to look like an idiot. So other people appreciated the fact that I had no problem being an idiot. Because I learned that empathy, it allowed me to be empathetic to others. It allowed me to understand, and it allowed me to keep my ego in check. And so therefore, other people kind of recognized when I did have something to say, they realized I was saying it because I first took an opportunity to try to understand what they were saying. And I think that that's helped me process and make decisions a little better. Even today, I help Dr. Harrison in his class, or Dr. Cohen in his class, and Dr. Reynolds in their classes. I know I'm nowhere near them. So I feel it's much easier to ask questions to understand, and hopefully I learn a lot more about that. And it can carry on in other parts of life, even with my children when they're struggling with something. Might think, okay, I might be a little smarter than a high school student, but I go in there with some empathy. What are you trying to figure out? How can we get there? How can I understand what you're doing? Because they actually know more about their problem than I do. Like the old manager technique. Somebody comes to you with a problem, they've been working on it. They're much smarter on the problem than you have. So you ask them, well, what do you want to do? And then you get a much better dialogue than if you just answer it. So it was because at NC State I got thrown into rooms with Brian Monahan and other graduate students. I understood the value of not being a smart person, but the value of asking questions, listening with an empathetic ear, right? So that you can really kind of understand what other people know, and then hopefully that will give you an opportunity to have that understanding and apply that in life. So thank you very much, Brian, and all the professors that allow me to not be the smartest person in the room, so I have an opportunity to continue to learn. And thank you very much for the support.